Welcome back, students. So let's continue further in this lecture about the Raoult's law. In the last lecture, I have taken the recap for your solution chapter, and also we have discussed about the Raoult's law there. Now, consider Raoult's law on the basis of the components, different components of the solution. As before, I have told you, there can be two types of component for a solution. Okay, if I am talking about a liquid-liquid solution, means the solvent is also liquid and the solute is also liquid here. Okay, the solvent is also liquid and the solution is a solute is also liquid. Then in this type of component, in this type of solution, let us consider that the solvent as well as the solute both are volatile in nature. Both are volatile in nature. What does this volatile means? The volatile word here represents that both of the liquid solute as well as solvent both are readily converting themselves into vapors. Okay, they are converting themselves vapor and having very high vapor pressure, and they are having very high vapor pressure. Okay, so for this condition, means for the condition in which both the solvent liquid, liquid solvent and the liquid solute are volatile, then for that condition, what Raoult's law denote? Okay, for this condition, what Raoult's law will denote? Let's see this. So as we have seen the statement for Raoult's law and all this thing in previous section only. So let's talk about directly for the formula. We have derived the formula in that particular section. So now let's continue with that particular formula. The formula was PT is equals to, PT was denoting the total vapor pressure, total partial vapor pressure of the solution. PT is equals to, it was PT is equals to PA naught XA plus PB naught XB, where PA naught and PB naught were the pure substance vapor pressure. Okay, the vapor pressure of the pure substances or the pure components present in the solution, and XA and XB were the mole fraction of that particular component in the solution. Okay, so the product of the substance pure substance vapor pressure with the mole fraction in the solution, it was giving us about the partial vapor pressure. Okay, so according to this we have derived this formula. Now if I am going to plot a graph, okay, for this particular condition, if I am going to plot a graph, let's plot a graph for this and talk about that. Okay, so this is the structure for our graph, and let's take the condition here that at this point, okay, here the mole fraction of A component is 1. Okay, here the mole fraction of A component is 1, while the mole fraction of B component is 0 here. Okay, and here the mole fraction of B component is 1 here, while the mole fraction of A component is 0 denoted here. So if I am going to draw the line here, so it will be look like this, and with another color, let's say with a green color, if I am representing for XA, okay, XA, so it will be looking like this. So on y-axis we are denoting the vapor pressure. Okay, on the y-axis we are denoting the vapor pressure. Vapor pressure. Okay, vapor pressure. Vapor pressure also for the presently the green one is representing the A components vapor pressure. So here at this point the vapor pressure for pure A substance will be there. So it will be denoted by PA naught. Similarly, for blue line will be representing for the B, so it will be here PB naught. Like this, the vapor pressure will be there. Okay, so the blue line is denoting the pure vapor pressure for B component, and green line is denoting the pure vapor pressure for your A component. So the total vapor pressure here will be denoted by a line which I am taking as red line, and it will be come to like this. This red line is showing the total vapor pressure of the solution which we have found out. It means it is showing the total vapor pressure PT here. It is showing the total vapor pressure PT here, and if I am going to write down here, it will be PT PA naught XA plus PB naught XB. Okay, PT naught XB. So the value of PT is in a higher side as comparison to that of PA naught and PB naught. Here, after drawing this diagram, it is in front of us that the vapor pressure of the two volatile components, means the volatile liquid solvent and the volatile liquid solute, if I am taking there, then the total vapor pressure will be more as comparison to that of the individual vapor pressure of A component or the individual vapor pressure of B component. Here by this diagram we are showing this. So this is shown by our Raoult's law here. Okay, this has been proved out by Raoult's law here. And in the x direction I was taking the mole fraction. In the x direction I was taking the mole fraction. Okay, like this. So this was for the condition that both the liquid solvent and the liquid solute are volatile. Then this type of condition will be obtained for the Raoult's law. For some of the next condition, let's take the next topic, which is the vapor pressure of solutions of solid in liquid. Okay, this was for two liquid solutions, I mean two liquid components. Now let's move further and see the next. Okay, so the next topic, vapor pressure for non-volatile solutes. Non-volatile solutes. So first understand what are non-volatile solutes. Which type of solutes will be non-volatile? In the previous condition, we have taken that the liquid solutes were volatile solutes. Okay, so the solid solutes will generally be non-volatile solute. Why? Because the vapor pressure of the solid solutes will be lower as comparison to that of the liquids, and hence they will be non-volatile in nature. So the solution here is containing a solid solute and a liquid solvent. Okay, it means the solution which are using in this particular condition, where we are going to see the non-volatile solutes vapor pressure. In this particular condition, the solute is solid and the solvent is a liquid. Let's talk about, and the example for the solutes can be sodium chloride, means salt. It can be sugar, glucose, or urea. Okay, or urea, like this. Any of the substance which is solid in nature, they can be considered as a non-volatile solute. What happens with non-volatile solutes? The vapor pressure of that particular solid substances are lower as comparison to that of the volatile liquids. Okay, let's take example that this is the pure solvent. I have taken the pure solvent in this container, and it is a closed container. Okay, this container is closed. I am closing it. This is a closed container. I have closed it with the lid, and it is pure solvent condition. In this particular condition, the only liquid is present, so it is pure solvent. Okay. In the next container, I am taking the liquid. Okay, I am taking the liquid solvent, But with liquid solvent, I am also taking here the non-volatile solid solute. Okay, I am also taking here non-volatile solid solute. These red balls or the red dots are showing the non-volatile solid solutes. Okay, now what to do with it? Let's talk about these two particular conditions. Here it is the solute and solvent, solvent and non-volatile solute, non-volatile solute. Okay, so in this particular condition, we will see that in the condition of pure solvent, the vapor pressure formed will be of purely A. Okay, here the vapor pressures which will be formed out here, it will be of purely A. And due to absence of any non-volatile component there, the vapor pressure value will be equal to that of the vapor pressure here. The total vapor pressure of this particular partial vapor pressure here, it will be is equals to the vapor pressure of the pure solvent into the chi, okay, into the xa. But here in this condition, what will happen here, it is also a closed lid. Here what will happen, as non-volatile solute are also present, so they will decrease the vapor pressure here. Only the liquid particles will get vaporized here, and this solid particle does not get vaporized here. Okay, only this liquid particles will get vaporized here. This solid particles will not get vaporized here. Due to this, what happened? The uppermost layer containing the liquid particles first, but after their vaporization, what will happen? The lower solid non-volatile solid particles which are present, they will readily move upwards, and due to this reason, what will happen? They will capture all the uppermost layer, means all the uppermost layer will be captured up by the non-volatile components here. Due to this, what happened? The vapor pressure will readily decrease out. Okay, means the vapor pressure, if I am seeing for that of the pure solvent condition here, it will not be equal or near about to that. It will be lower side, it will be on the lower side as comparison to that of the pure solvents condition. Okay, but in the previous case, we have seen that the vapor pressure was increased out, because both the component, means the solute component, solute component and the solvent component, both were volatile in nature. So due to that reason, the vapor pressure of the solution was increased up. But in this condition, what will happen? The vapor pressure will decrease out. Okay, the vapor pressure will decrease out, and due to this reason, the total vapor pressure of the solution will decrease. Now, according to this, according to this, if I am going to make the Raoult law for this particular condition, okay, according to the Raoult's law, the vapor pressure of the volatile component in the solution is directly proportional to the mole fraction in it. Generally, what is that? The vapor pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that particular component in it. Okay, so according to this, therefore, the vapor pressure of the solution will be the vapor pressure due to the solvent only here. Okay, as here the mole fraction of the vapor pressure is generally depending on whom in this particular condition. Here it is depending on only on the solvent. No solute particles is getting vaporized here. Okay, due to this reason, what will happen? The vapor pressure of the vapor pressure of the solution here in this particular condition, the vapor pressure of solution will be equal to, directly here it will be equal to the vapor pressure of solvent in the solution, because the solute is not getting vaporized here. Okay, so hence, if pa, if I am taking that pa is the solvent component here, then according to that, what will happen? The p will also be equals to pa not xa only. Here no term of pb will be there. Okay, here no term of pb will be there. So this is the relation for the non-volatile component here. Okay, non-volatile solute here. So if I'm going to give a definition here or the statement here for the Raoult's law, then it becomes at a given temperature, at a given temperature, the vapor pressure of a solution containing a non-volatile solute, a non-volatile solute is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solvent, to the mole fraction of the solvent. Okay, so this will be the statement for the Raoult's law for a non-volatile solute condition. Okay, if here I am following this, so plotting a graph here for this particular condition, what will be the relation here? Let's plot a graph here. Okay, same as we have taken for the previous condition, that vapor pressure in the y direction and mole fraction in the x direction. Okay, like this if it is taken, then let's see what will be the relation here. As I am representing here, it will be xa is equals to 1 and xb is equals to 0, and here xb is equals to 1 and xa is equals to 0. Okay, so the value of the total vapor pressure, the total vapor pressure value will be directly proportional to the, will be directly equal, or it will be depending only on the solvent's vapor pressure, because no vapor pressure is for the B component of the solute component. Okay, so for this reason only, what will happen, the condition will become Pt, or the P will be is equals to Pa not X. Okay, this will be the condition. If I am considering that the Pa is constant, Pa naught means the partial vapor pressure of the A component is constant here. So in that particular condition, we can derive a relation that PT means the total vapor pressure. Okay, total vapor pressure will be directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solvent only. Now, if I am taking here that the constant of proportionality here was the partial vapor pressure of A component in the solution, and for XA, if I am deriving the answer here, then it will become PT upon Pa naught. On subtracting 1 on both sides. Okay, if I am subtracting 1 on both sides, then I will get 1 minus XA is equals to PT upon Pa naught minus 1. Here, take the LCM and make a equation here, then it will become 1 minus XA is equals to PT minus Pa divided by Pa. Okay, and in the previous, we have seen that XA plus XB is equals to 1. For the mole fraction of the total solution, it was always equals to 1. So according to that, here 1 minus XA will be is equals to 1 minus XA will be is equals to XB. Okay, because XA plus XB was is equals to 1 here. So according to that, here we can write in the place of 1 minus XA XB here, then the formula becomes P solution minus P solvent, means the vapor pressure of solution minus vapor pressure of solvent divided by vapor pressure of solvent is equals to the mole fraction of the solute here. Okay, we can find out the mole fraction of solute. Okay, so this is also a relation which can be confirmed out here. Now here, this particular form which is been formed out here, that is P solution minus P solvent divided by P solvent. Here the value of the total vapor pressure will come in the lower side than as comparison to that of the pure vapor pressure of your A component. Okay, so hence here this condition is known as relative lowering of vapor pressure. This is our first colligative property. We are going to study this thing in the further classes. Okay, but the formula will be derived from here only. Okay, the formula will be like this only for that. Now let's move further and talk about the Raoult's law as a special case of Henry's law. Okay, let's talk about and compare the Raoult law with the Henry's law. See, is there any relation between the Raoult's law and the Henry law which we have studied before in the before cases? Okay, in the solubility of gases cases, we have seen that there was a Henry law. Okay, so is the Raoult law is a special case of Henry law? Means is the Raoult law is following the Henry law? Let's see and compare these both laws. So here Raoult's law as a special case of Henry's law. Okay, so Raoult law is saying that according to Raoult law, what is the relation? P T is equals to PA naught XA for non-volatile solute. Okay, for non-volatile solute, this is the condition. If I am considering the gaseous volatile component, okay, for a in the case of a solution of a gas in a liquid, the gaseous component is volatile component. Simply the gaseous component which will be dissolved in a liquid, the gaseous solute there, it will be a very volatile component there. Okay, as comparison to the liquid solvent also, it will be more volatile there. And for that condition we will use the Henry's law there. So it is according to Raoult's law. But for Henry's law, according to the Henry's law, the vapor pressure was equal to Kh, means Henry's law constant and mole fraction. Okay, and mole fraction, not A. I am not taking it A here. It is just the mole fraction. Okay, where P is the vapor pressure of the gas in the solution, and the X is the mole fraction of the gas, and Kh is the constant proportionality, also known as Henry's law constant. Now here the comparison of the equation of Raoult's law, and if I am doing the comparison between these two, then we will see that the partial pressure of the volatile component or gas is directly proportional to its mole fraction in both the conditions. If I am taking in the first condition also, I am taking that A is the solute and XA is the mole fraction of that solute, which is a volatile gas here. Okay, which is a volatile gas here, then for that particular condition we will see that the total vapor pressure of the solution is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that particular component there. The only difference here is the two expressions are containing the different constant of proportionality. In first case it is the partial vapor pressure of that pure component, and in second case it is the Henry's law constant. Okay, so therefore we can say that, therefore according to this, on comparing these two equations, we can say that Raoult's law becomes a special case of Henry's law, in which the Henry's law constant becomes equal to vapor pressure of the pure component. Okay, hence we are proving that the Henry's law constant, which is Kh, is becoming equal to the vapor pressure of the pure component for a particular condition. Okay, here. Even in the liquid solution, one of the component may sometimes obey Henry's law over a range of mole fraction. Okay, even in the liquid solution, one of the component may sometimes obey Henry's law over a range of mole fraction. In that case, Kh becomes equal to that particular vapor pressure condition. Okay, means it will be equal to the Kh will be equal to Pa naught or Pb naught. In this practice, in solution, which solute behaves ideally according to Henry's law, the solvent also behaves linearly according to the Raoult's law. However, the reverse is not necessarily true. Means it is not necessary that the condition that the solution which is following the Raoult's law, it must always follow the Henry's law also. Because Raoult's law is been applicable for all the conditions, mean for the non-volatile solute condition and the volatile solute condition. But the Henry law is only applicable for the gaseous solutions, means the solution containing the gaseous solutes. Okay, other than that, it is not been applicable. So hence we have just proved that the Raoult's law is a special case for our Henry's law only. Both the conditions are following the same condition, that the total vapor pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the component which is present in our solution. In the case of Henry law, it was the solute, and in the case of your Raoult's law, it can be either the more volatile component, or either it can be the sum of the partial vapor pressure of the two components present in our solution. In that condition, there were volatile condition, means volatile components were there, all the components were volatile. Okay, so this is our Raoult's law relation with the Henry's law. So for this session, I am ending our class here only, and in the next class we are going to continue with the ideal and non-ideal solution, and after that ideal and non-ideal solution, we will see the colligative properties. Okay, well, sorry, we will talk about the azeotropes, and after that we will start our colligative properties. Okay, so there are total 4 colligative properties which we are going to study in our this chapter, which is one of the important parts of our chapter. So for this class, I am ending our class here only. Let's meet up in the next session. Thank you.